It's a sound that chills you to the bone, a sound that signals the arrival of something other. Perhaps a tall man who can lift a casket into a hearse all by himself? For decades, Phantasm has been a staple of horror cinema and a true independent masterpiece of film. But what happens when a legendary filmmaker steps in to breathe new life into a classic? In episode 118 of the Red River Horror Podcast, we're taking a deep dive into the meticulously restored, absolutely stunning 4K restoration of Don Coscarelli's Phantasm, lovingly resurrected for the big screen and home video consumption by J.J. Abrams' outfit, Bad Robot. The tall man is back, and he's never looked as good as he does right now. Grab onto that flying sphere, and let's jump into the Red River Horror Podcast.
Welcome to the Red River Horror Podcast, where the channels of fear wind through the shadows of your darkest nightmares. From cursed horror films and bone-chilling tales to whispered interviews and the desolate echoes of abandoned places, we explore every sinister current. Grip your oars tightly and brace for the journey ahead. Now, guiding you through the murky waters, your host, Joe Zakrzewski, joined by Red River Horror founder, Eddie Caiazzo.
Welcome back to the Red River Horror Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Zakrzewski. It's episode number 118, and I am joined, as always, by RedRiverHorror.com founder, Ed Caiazzo. Hey, Ed, how's it going?
Joe, I am fantastic today. This is
Phantasmic.
Phantasmic. Very well done. No, this has been a summer of horror, I must say. It's been a lot of fun to keep on watching a lot of the films that we love, some new, some old, and I'm really excited for this episode too.
Yeah, so far so good. And then we figured, why not go back to where it all began, episode 2, Phantasm.
Yes, sir.
Because we never got into the remaster from 2016, but we've discussed the entire series many times. It's one that we always refer to for the great slow burns of horror movies. Yeah, I mean, it opens with a bang, literally and figuratively, but
yeah,
it's a good one. So you have done some digging. You found us some fun stuff about it. So, show us the way.
I did. So, Joe, just so if everyone recall, when you and I first covered Phantasm, you have to go back to episode 2, as you said, August of 2020, when two friends, Joe and I, decided to make it a mission to watch the entire Phantasm series, 1 to 5, outdoors during lockdown. Now, we achieved that goal for the first time in our horror viewing history, finally nabbing up to that point what had been an elusive Phantasm 3, Lord of the Dead. That was a tricky one. So it was unavailable at our local West Coast Video, Blockbuster, and even Hollywood Video, which had a very nicely curated collection of horror flicks. So Big Ed didn't even have this one in the basement archives. All the rental stores, as you know, long gone. So we waited and waited. Then the cord cutting started happening. Streaming became more prominent. A 5th and final film to the Phantasm series had been announced, and then an A-list Hollywood director, who you might know, completely owned the sci-fi space at that point in time, and he wanted to restore the original horror classic using all of the Hollywood might of his production studio. Find a distributor in Well Go USA, and the complete Phantasm 5 movie collection DVD set was born. So it's important to note, we watched all 5 of the films from the box set because the projector we were using, while it is very high quality, it only played DVDs. So lucky for us, though, we saw Phantasm in the highest possible quality that had been available, at least on DVD at that time, because running point on the box set was Phantasm Remastered. So, Joe, we got it. It's the summer of 2020. We have a goal when content is aplenty to bask in the Phantasm glory, play catch up on a series and a film that's so dear to our horror-loving hearts. So I thought it was time, since we ourselves have a better picture and better sound, to remaster our initial episode of the Red River Horror Podcast and provide a much more immersive experience. So welcome to Phantasm Remastered. Remastered, Joe.
It's great to be here. Yeah. And one of the things to point out is it wasn't like, when we were looking for Phantasm 3, like it wasn't anywhere. Like I think the closest we found was like $100 copy on eBay.
Yes.
And we weren't going to spend like $100. And what was it? Probably like 2004, 2003.
It was.
It's going back quite a bit. It
Yeah.
was like when we really were like, oh, we got to find it. Like we had 1, 2, and 4,
Hmm. It's true.
and we would refuse to watch 4 until we watched 3, and then it finally all came together, and we pulled it off. It has some good memories, like sitting in the garage watching Phantasm. Yeah,
Getting
get
and
some food, hang out.
you were that was the cool thing. So this was your idea. You're just like, you know what, we should do this because everybody was in lock.
Yeah,
We had a nice like outdoor space for us to watch and catch up on the Phantasm films. But you brought some really, really good meals to these viewings, I must say.
oh yeah, yeah. No, we had some nice bites. It was nice and chill. Most of those nights we had like decent weather. It was great. Um,
Yep.
what the funny memory of that is? So, like I don't know, I quit nicotine just in time for lockdown because I think if I was still addicted by lockdown, I don't think I ever would have quit.
Really?
Uh, yeah, because just it was boring as shit. Like, what else was it gonna do? So
Man,
I had like that. I don't know. It was like the habit and the thing of like sitting there and having something to puff on while watching a movie. Like when we were out there, it was like probably the biggest test I even faced. And even though I was probably almost a year removed by then, I remember I was like, oh, I have some nicotine free vape and sitting there and just like trying that like a couple times. Like, well, this fucking sucks.
it was the wrong time.
Yeah, I just let it alone and just haven't gone back to it since. So
That's good.
that's just a funny memory I have of being like, it was a big like trigger to like chill there and have something to, to have like just to have something in your hands to go with like while you're focusing on the movie. And that was like first time I really felt like empty handed and then got over it. So it was a weird part in my journey of being a nicotine free person.
That was a really tough time to do it, though, and you did. So, as Venkman says to Ray in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, when Ray said he quit in the 90s, he quit smoking in the 90s, and Venkman says, proud of you then, proud of you now for it. So, it's good stuff, man. It's hard
It sucked. So
to... well,
it's not a good time.
what didn't
So,
suck was the viewing experience. Awesome meals that you were bringing down. I'll just be honest. 2020, I like owned 2020. I did everything during that month of October. We did everything during the spring and the summer as far as catching up on horror movies. But that was finally the time for us um, to watch because J.J. Abrams had done this remastered this Phantasm remastered, this 4K restoration, all this, it brought the things that we had trouble finding before easy to find. So I picked this up online, this Phantasm 5 film collection from a place in Dallas. It was actually like a bookstore in Dallas that was selling it, and I found it for like $18. So
yes.
there was a renewed sense of interest in Phantasm, but there was also an accessibility. The increase in streaming and finding everything on streaming, which is now becoming a challenge. We didn't know where everything was. So we got the DVD. My projector was a DVD and we were good to go. So I guess that brings us to our first point in Phantasm Remastered. How did J.J. Abrams get involved in the first place in restoring Phantasm? Like, how did that happen? How did that start?
Yeah, I mean, he's a longtime fan of Phantasm. He wanted to screen it for his Bad Robot staff, but learned from Don Coscarelli that no high quality prints of the film were available. So Abrams offered Bad Robots resources to restore the film with work conducted during downtime from other projects such as Star Wars and Star Trek,
Yeah.
because JJ got his hand in all of it.
He was
Uh, the,
unbelievable.
yeah. What a run.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, then, the restored version, Phantasm Remastered, premiered at the South by Southwest Film Festival in 2016, followed by a limited theatrical release on September 24th, 2016. And then that Blu-ray just in time for Christmas on my wife's birthday, 2016.
Oh,
That's December 6th.
December 6th. Wow.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. So it's a movie that it has its justice served by having that high def. It's a shit. Like I feel like Phantasm's on the fast track for a remake at this point.
Ooh,
Um,
really?
yeah, not to pull that out too early, but just thinking about everything and where it's at, just in because Angus Scrimm passed away right before five was released. I think.
He did, yeah. So but he did film it, which is good, but
Yeah,
Phantasm 5 Ravager was the last time we saw the tall man and the actor that played him, Angus Scrimm. R.I.P.
yeah.
You
So
know,
before someone else wants to get their mitts on it, I mean, you want that full high def, high fidelity experience for all you cinephiles out there and audiophiles. The best way to currently view the fully restored Phantasm remaster is through Blu-ray, which you can pick up for less than $20. And with the right player and 4K TV, you'll be able to view it in 2K with options for a 5.1 surround, 2.0 Dolby digital stereo, and also a Dolby digital mono track for your purists out there. The
hmm,
5.1 mix is by audio engineer Robbie Stambler.
interesting.
Pretty neat.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got to think of it from the tech side, and that's something that when I listened back to episode 2 of the Red River Horror podcast, I did like I'm more cognizant of what's going on, I guess, in the horror space, both on YouTube and through people's podcasts. And no, we're not a physical media podcast, but I do think it's important that there are people who love and appreciate the same films that we do, and this being one of our favorites was an opportunity to kind of get into the nitty gritty as to exactly like what happened. Like, what did J.J. Abrams do to this film to make people want to buy it all over again? Because it has had a spotty release schedule, as you know, from our time struggling trying to find Phantasm 3, even to rent. But the original VHS of Phantasm, Joe, like there were scenes missing because like the transfer wasn't right. So if you have, and I'd actually love to get it, my copy, hands of a copy of this, but if you have the original Phantasm VHS, you have like a whole scene completely missing. So the story can seem a little weird and
Hmm.
just um but just a few more facts just from the tech side. So like I wanted to take this opportunity to do this because we didn't do the techie thing the first time, but the 4K restoration was from the original camera negative. Restoration involved a meticulous 4K scan of the camera negative, addressing that poor condition of existing 35 millimeter prints, which you can see at places that still play 35 millimeter. Now, I personally love it; it's authentic, but there's never been just a clean distribution of this film. So the 35 millimeter prints, they're scratched, they're degraded. This 4K scan resulted in a cleaner, sharper picture, vivid colors, deep black shadows, significantly improving visual clarity without altering the film's core aesthetic. And the restoration focused on enhancing the film's technical quality rather than altering its narrative, the goal being to present Phantasm as it was originally intended. No significant additions, deletions, or Joe, your favorite, CGI embellishments that George Lucas would become famous for when he re-released the original Star Wars trilogy. That pissed a lot of you Star Wars fans off, huh, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, you're in that category, aren't you? Or no, you became a Star Wars fan after those. Like
It was so.
she had
uh,
no loyalty to the OG.
I will admit, and I did on episode. I just because I listened to, I didn't want to repeat, some of the things we covered in episode 2, and I highly encourage Red River Horror fans to go back and listen to Joe and I's original podcast about this. So I didn't want to repeat anything, but this is one thing I will repeat. I'll admit I did not get into Star Wars until Phantom Menace, just because of the marketing, Joe. I mean, in our lunchroom, remember the Pepsi cans and the action figures. They had a Star Wars game for PlayStation. They had the Racing Pod game for N64. How could I not? Like, my dad's not a Star Wars fan, so I never became one. Even when you and I were growing up watching movies, I still never was one. But I fell victim to the Episode One's marketing, and then became a Star Wars fan, starting with the Phantom Menace.
How about that? And there was all that the theater releases of like the remasters of those. What did he call them? There's the special editions.
Yes,
And did the theatrical re-release of those leading up to the Phantom Menace too. And
yes,
here's the thing. I mean, my dad wasn't a Star Wars fan. It was actually like my uncle that had the old tapes that me and my cousins would watch. So
do you have an idea where those tapes are? Because they're probably worth something.
I if they still exist, they're in Sarasota. So
Darn.
I don't know.
Well, I know that re-release pissed a lot of Star Wars fans off. I remember when you and I watched the original trilogy after it was repackaged for the first time. I remember quite a few expletives flying, and I'm just like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And didn't in that one, and not to get in a Star Wars thing, but didn't in that one, Greedo shoots first, so that it makes Han look better, like he's the good guy. He didn't shoot first, even though in the original he did. If I'm
Yeah,
talking,
that whole
you know,
no, that's a whole like internet thing. Who shot first? But yeah, no, Han shoots him,
right.
and it's whatever. It's a Western set in space. Everyone can calm down.
I know.
It's-
But with this, so I say that all to say that this 4K restoration by J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot of Phantasm does not mess with anything, does not change anything. All it does is make a much crisper picture. They filled in a lot of gaps, took out some of the strings that you can see in the production, a lot of the scratches from that 35 millimeter scan. So, Joe, in the famous scene when the guy gets a spear to the head, this time around, when he falls to the floor, the urine exiting his body is in fact yellow. Pretty cool.
there you go. Yeah, I mean it's a much cleaner look.
it
So
it is, but like next, so this is another thing I didn't want to repeat, Joe. I had no idea because I know you're a fan of this next guy. So J.J. Abrams, king of the sci-fi slash horror slash everything at that time, right? Phantasm's on his radar. He's a fan. You know who's another fan? Oscar winner Roger Avary.
how about that?
Yeah, I.
Yeah.
But you actually told me about a an unproduced script for Phantasm, and I wanted to get into that if you could, please.
Yeah. So when they were ready for there was an unproduced script for Phantasm around 1999, Phantasm's End. In the mid 1990s, fresh off his Oscar win for Pulp Fiction, Avary expressed enthusiasm for writing a sequel to Phantasm 3, Lord of the Dead. He penned an ambitious screenplay titled Phantasm 1999 AD, later retitled Phantasm 2012 AD, and Phantasm's End due to the passing of the year 1999. The script envisioned a post apocalyptic United States divided into three zones: Los Angeles, New York, and the Plague Zone, controlled by the Tall Man. The story featured Reggie leading a secret government team, the S Squad, to defeat the Tall Man, who spread a bag plague that caused victims' heads to swell and explode, infecting others. The script was epic in scope, with concept art by Justin Zacharczyk and interest from actor Bruce Campbell, of course, to to co-star. Despite years of effort and financing secured in 1997, the project stalled due to studio changes, budgetary issues estimated at $15 to $20 million, and logistical challenges, and it was ultimately shelved. And I'm not going to lie, that was probably for the best.
I was curious. This is something you and I have not talked about previously. I remember you mentioning it, so I did a little digging on it myself, and I was curious what you thought. You do not like the idea of Los Angeles, New York, and then the everything in between controlled by the tall man, like the plague zone. You do not like that.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, if when you have Reggie leading a undercover government team instead of being like, the rogue that like, come on, it's a rogue team, not an army. And then it comes off of like, if Bruce Campbell was in it, then all the speculation of it, is he Ash? What kind of Bruce Campbell is he going to be in that movie? Is it going to be more like Army of Darkness now that Bruce Campbell's in it, or what are you going to get?
So I think Avery would keep it on the level though. I don't. Although at that time, to be fair, I don't know. What did you think of Bruce Campbell in Spider-Man? I guess let's start there. What did you think of how
Which one?
he played?
He's in all three of them. He's in all Sam Raimi's stuff.
I'm gonna say I remember him. Let's go with the first one. Let's go with the original Spider-Man from Sam Raimi in 2002. How do you think he played that character?
No, he's perfect. But you still have like that groovy kind of vibe from him. And he
So you
it's
think
the human spider.
so you think given that this will be a horror film, something like the Phantasm sequels already exist and they are pretty the second one is pretty bonkers. It pretty much carries through pretty bonk. Like there's some not that that as a whole the Phantasm series is bonkers, but the action packed uh the action version of Phantasm that we see all throughout kind of the journey in between, like they do find themselves in some pretty crazy spots. So you think that would be a little embellished, or like would you think it would force Bruce Campbell to turn on the Bruce Campbell that we know and love from The Evil Dead?
I think so. And then it would just open the gates to a lot of different. I don't know. I could just see people being like, "What a waste of Bruce Campbell," or "What a great you," or "I wish Bruce." Like he's kind of a distraction
Yeah.
because he comes from a cult following film franchise to cross into another cult film franchise, and it's like, I don't know. I mean, it could tie in easily with Army of Darkness, but I don't think that would be a good idea, one way or the other. If there was any two movies that could go together, it would be, stuff with different dimensions. So Army of Darkness and Phantasm.
True.
So it would work in that sense, but I don't think it would be good.
Hmm. And I think there's no way 15 to 20 million dollars. There's no way. There's no way they would have secured that much for a Phantasm, because
No.
at that point in time, unfortunately, Phantasm was just it was getting more toward the home video distribution than the theatrical release. I think by then, maybe
Yeah, and
so hard to find.
yeah, and still, it's like what we've agreed, what we like about the Phantasm franchise. At least I know what my favorite thing is that it's one continuous story.
Yeah,
So I don't know. That's a big time jump. I mean, they all have time jumps, but that's a big time jump to have, the United States almost completely wiped out because of the tall man.
all right, okay, I see it. I actually I'm
But
glad.
why would they be on Earth? He takes them to his red planet.
But so another part of it though is that he goes in and wipes out these towns. So I mean, it's a big country, man, right?
It is. But that there would be nobody there. It would be empty.
Mm-hmm.
Ah,
All right.
I don't know. I don't know. Something to think, something to ponder about whether it was a. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I'll have to go look at some of the concept art again, see if that changes my mind.
And honestly, I guess we already kind of get an adventure from Reggie. So like, does it really need to be that adventure? Because we already have Reggie's like once we get into Phantasm 2, we see the journey. Like Reggie's on the road, man. He's got get the women. and the ammunition, and he gets to be pretty badass. We kind of see him already trek across the desert, as you will.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's happening. It's better left that way as like that type of buddy adventure to defeat this evil that they've encountered. It works out just fine. And with its own insane twists and turns along the way by the time we get to the finish in five. So there's a lot of stuff that happened in the series overall that it's like, what? But it all works. It all flows. So
We can
the
speculate.
way
It's pretty cool that the co-writer and Academy Award-winning writer of Pulp Fiction uh, was interested, at least, in contributing a sequel. It's pretty.
yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, it goes to show like the overall impact the original has. I mean, it's always in every best like horror movies of all times list. So yeah,
and
but
and
that all came from a cult following.
and that independent filmmaking spirit, something I know you appreciate a lot. Like, one of the things when I went back and listened to our previous episode, one of the things that you talked about was just kind of like the ride, like Don Coscarelli going up into the mountains and writing Phantasm, just the grit that it took to get through filming something like that, packaging something like that, and ultimately finding someone to distribute something like Phantasm at that time was not easy. That's like powering forward, and now you get to this point in your career where you've already successfully done the Hollywood thing, and Phantasm is on the radar of like top filmmakers starting in the 90s who are already saying, "Oh, I want to write a sequel," or "Oh, I want to," in J.J. Abrams' case, "I want to restore this because this movie meant so much to me." Um, it's pretty cool because like Don Coscarelli doesn't have a Bad Robot budget for a lot of the films that he's made at all, you know?
No, and especially because what he was making is a visual movie, and they did great with what they had. So some for Phantasm to get remastered the way it did with a much cleaner look, I mean, it's a perfect candidate for it, and that's why I'm like, once we started recording, I'm just like, oh man, like this one's really lined up for. It's got to be on the remake list. Like somebody's got to want it, and then it's just, I guess, a matter of whether Don Coscarelli's going to let them have it.
Yeah, that's so it brings up something important. I was going to move on to the car in a different way than we did the first time, but you're right. So since you brought it up, this remake business, who would you want to see if anybody, if Coscarelli says, "Okay, like yes, this is my baby. The fan base is extremely loyal. I, he's very, very appreciative of the fans, knows how much we love, just in the same way Jeffrey knew that we love Final Destination taking it this far. Coscarelli is very appreciative of the fan base.
Yes.
And he's very protective over his property. Like he all the way through, he wrote every single one of those, and he didn't direct the last one, but that was his choice. That was his choice not to direct it. So, uh, who would you want to see remake Phantasm, or let's just say it went the Rob Zombie route in that the idea is out there. Well, let's it's a Wild West here. So um I think famously when Michael Bay was doing all those remakes with the Texas Chainsaw and others, like he was having success. They were cash cows. Like he was bringing in the dough. So I think the Weinsteins came up to Rob Zombie and said, "We'd love for you to remake Halloween." It's just like, well, okay, he's going to be writing it. He's going to be directing. This is going to be Rob Zombie's Halloween, 100%. So it brings up an interesting question with something like Phantasm, a cherished property like this, in someone that, like John Carpenter for many years, didn't care about Halloween. So Rob Zombie, he said, "Yeah, go nuts. Make it your own."
Mhm.
I don't know that Coscarelli would do the same thing. So it brings up an interesting question. Who would you have remake Phantasm?
Mike Flanagan.
Oh, all that lead up just to
I know.
damn, that's pretty good.
I mean,
Uh, yeah,
his body of work says for like, he would be the perfect one to capture that story, I think, because he does it so well with other, like with a lot of the Stephen King properties,
yeah.
um, his own property. Like he's got a magic touch that I think would be perfect for Phantasm.
And you said Phantasm is visual, and the first one specifically, Phantasm, it's not straightforward storytelling. There's
Yeah.
a lot of different things happening, both through. I'm just more the camera is telling the story. A lot of the times, it's not like you're going to give Don Coscarelli an Academy Award for writing the script for Phantasm. It is more visual, so I think that I don't even have to answer. It's got to be Flanagan.
Yeah. Well, think about who else is big in the horror space that does anything, the way that Phantasm is. I'm trying to think like would
So Lee, I will say Lee Wanell gives respect to what he's working on. I don't know, like he's damn good and I love his work. He's not Flanagan, but he does
yeah,
respect the work that he's given. So if he was asked to direct it,
yeah.
I think that that would be a safe choice. I don't know that would knock our socks off or that we'd even necessarily be happy with it, but it would be a safe choice, I think, Lee Wanell.
Yeah, like Leon L or James Wan's pretty easy. That would work. I mean, James Wan would be probably pretty good too.
James Wan is capable of being great. He's a modern horror master. I mean, Joe, early on, we had Saw, we had Dead Silence. I love James Wan and his entire body of work, but I think with Atomic Monster, his outfit merging with Blumhouse, I think he's getting a little
Yeah,
man. I don't.
yeah,
He's capable of greatness. He's capable of scaring the hell out of me. I can't watch his like if I watch Dead Silence right now, I'd be, it'd scare me. It put me in a different state. But I think he's getting a little too commercial. So I don't know that he could pull it off. I don't know that he
yeah.
could.
Blumhouse is probably the last one we'd ever want to touch it.
Yeah,
I could see them just adding way too much to the story that just turns it into stupid.
yeah. And it would be a cash grab. Like they'd make, and it's fine that you got to do all the marketing surrounding it, but then it would be some A-lister playing the tall man, and it's just like, all right, that's great that it's this A-list. I'm just gonna use him just because he's so hot all the time. Let's just say it's Ryan Reynolds, right? Would play the tall man, but then people would just be like, "No, seriously, did you see like Ryan Reynolds was a creepy tall man?" It's just like, stop.
I don't think so.
But that's a name like it would become all about that, don't you think? If it were Blumhouse, it would be commercial like that, I think.
I could see like Batista, like Dave Batista, or like Jason Momoa getting the job if it was Blumhouse.
Okay. But still,
Actually, Batista might be pretty good at it.
he might be. I think he's got good acting chops.
He does.
Yeah.
And he's like thinned out too, so like he'd probably look pretty good in that Undertaker, but a little silly if he had the white hair. Actually, no, it might work out really well.
Yeah, I mean, Blumhouse has access to the best makeup artists in the biz.
Yeah.
Oh, but the thing is, but do you see though how it would become all about that? There's like, oh,
Hmm.
like, dude, his performance, this and it would become all about that person. And I don't know that that's Phantasm. I just don't know. Even coming down to the last film, Five, Ravager, and the budget it was made on, and how some of the effects came through and things like that. Like, I just don't know that a big Hollywood actor playing the tall man, like it doesn't become about that visual story, that weird place that Phantasm puts you in. It then becomes more about personnel and cashing in.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I mean, that's true. Maybe like someone like an Ari Aster would probably do a really good job with it. Like it'd be like all weird and
Yeah.
dark, which is what it is. So
He definitely give proper not to keep hitting Rob Zombie, but remember, when Rob Zombie was making Halloween, no, but he one of the things he said was he wanted to make it so brutal that it wasn't funny, even though his dialogue made it funny, unfortunately. But like I get what he was saying, I get the idea behind it. I think Ari Aster would do death pretty seriously. Pretty like I'm just thinking of the beginning of Midsommar with the fact
mhm.
thinking of what happens to that freaking family in Hereditary. That yeah, I think that he would give death the proper scary, heavy tone that it deserves on screen.
Yeah. But I think he likes doing his own thing.
Yeah.
So maybe you know what? I mean, the guy who's getting the remakes, Eggers.
Yeah. Yeah. Eggers, while great, I do like his original ideas better
Yeah,
than
Nosferatu's getting a lot of hot and cold
yeah.
reactions, which I mean, that's a whole different story, like different conversation. I don't agree with people that really try and say how mid Nosferatu is. I just think their expectations were in the wrong place.
I'm having a millennial moment, Joe. What is mid?
Like mid range, it's okay. So
Okay. Okay.
yeah, in
Oh,
the middle.
there's that kind of talk around it. No, I wouldn't agree with that. I think it was pretty well done. I think
I
everybody.
thought it was.
I love
I know.
the cinematography was just unbelievable. I mean, visually, that movie puts me in a mode. That puts me in a place. It was
Yeah,
impressive.
which is why you know if Eggers was a guy who did Phantasm, it would probably work really well too.
Okay.
But I feel like Flanagan would do a better job with like the Mike and Reggie, like the story writing behind like the friendship and brotherhood and
Yeah.
with the small group.
I'm just going. No, I mean, you said it right off the bat. I think I'm going Flanagan one. So if Coscarelli says, "All right, buddy, you know, have fun, like enjoy," I think it's got to be Flanagan. He
Yeah.
balanced everything out just perfectly. The visual storytelling, the weird quirks that Phantasm has, the character development. Um, yeah, no, it's good. I
Yeah.
sold me on Flanagan from the beginning. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Thinking of going down the, you know why? It's got to be.
Yeah, sorry. I was just as soon as you started going, I'm like, there's one person that comes right to mind.
Would you? All right, real quick. Do you think we can rank them, or you think we should save that for a whole nother podcast episode? Where
Ranking the phantasms?
no, 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 no. Because this one we're sticking with Phantasm Remastered, the original
Yeah.
story. I'm thinking these directors, like this has a whole nother conversation that maybe we should put all these bodies of work together and maybe come
Oh
up
yeah.
with a March Madness type, not like a 64 field, but I'm really intrigued now in ranking these directors from the horror directors at least from the last 20, 25 years. Hmm.
You know what? I would like to do the director debate. We can have people come on and they can debate over who, director versus director.
Huh. All right.
That would be kind of fun. And then we can judge.
There would be a lot of interest in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Something to ponder.
All right. So I think Joe and I are in agreement. I'm just taking his if Phantasm remastered. So this Red River Horror episode, Phantasm remastered.
Remaster.
If there's a Phantasm remastered in real life, Flanagan's the guy to do it.
Yeah. I'll shoot him a text.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah,
You're telling me it can't just be on Netflix. It's got to be wide release. We got to see it in
yeah.
theater.
Now here's the thing to go on to like our next subject for what we were going to talk about in the pod, the 1971 Plymouth Barracuda.
Mhm.
So it's pretty much one of the main characters of the entire franchise. And like gearheads will watch this because of the Barracuda. And we know what a Barracuda means to your father.
Oh yeah.
Big fan of the Barracuda. Had a Barracuda. I don't know what years his was though.
I can't remember. I think he was a 70, and there is a distinct difference between 70 and 71. But and he had a slant six. He did not have, the V8 or whatever that they're. I don't want to get into gearhead talk because I will get eaten alive. I can't remember all my stuff from my car parts days, but
It's
um
okay.
but yes, no, I think that was half the battle with my dad, with Big Ed, was the the Barracuda. He saw that in the film. I mean, how do you? It's a pretty sweet car. Coscarelli thought so too.
Oh yeah, I mean, we found a fun fact according to Rob Finkelman in Street Muscle magazine. This article from back in 2019. After filming Wrapped, the production's art director David Brown took the Cuda home with him, where it sat in his driveway for many years. Tired of looking at it, Brown sold it to a car enthusiast for $2,500. It
Oh,
has never been seen or heard of again, despite later efforts by Don Coscarelli to locate and procure the vehicle for himself. Yeesh.
dude,
The
2,500.
good news,
There's good news.
yeah, there's good news. There's silver lining.
All right.
There's a silver lining. In Phantasm Remastered, both the Blu-ray and the DVD include a fun and unique bonus feature, a special episode of Graveyard Cars, where Michael Baldwin and Don Coscarelli get to see and ultimately drive a 71 Barracuda restored to all of its phantasmic glory.
Okay. I think I actually remember seeing that. Um, because we did, although I got the DVD, so I didn't. As part of that 5 pack, though, anyway, it was Phantasm Remastered, and I think there was Graveyard Cars, and I think the very first time I watched it outside of when you and I just watched the movie, I think I did see that. So now I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch. All right. So
You
Don never
should.
found his. He never found the beloved vehicle, which sat for years and then only sold for $2,500. That's a crime. So Don Coscarelli never got that back, but at least he got to see and drive the black 71 Barracuda again, even if not the same one from the film.
Yeah. And that also would be a big challenge if someone does get the keys to this car to make a remake of Phantasm, because the car is a character and muscle car culture is not really a thing anymore. Like it is in like the collector space, right? I mean, what if it's not set in the same time? If it's not set in the 70s, then what do you do? Do you do like say it's set in the 90s or the early 2000s
What brings
or modern?
what brings more of that nostalgia? Now we're getting into something completely different along the lines of our director discussion. So what do you think if Phantasm were to be re-envisioned by a Flanagan or someone like that? You do like, so for example, 2017 went for the 80s as opposed to the 50s, with where the original story was set. So what do you do? What would Joe Zakrzewski prefer if he was seeing Phantasm re-envisioned by a newer horror director? Do you want 80s? Do you want 90s? Do you want 2000s? There's nostalgia for all three decades right now. They're all hot.
I mean, obviously I'd want it left alone,
Like, yeah.
but um or like left in the 70s. But if you go 80s, you could still use like a either you could probably still get away with using the Barracuda or another muscle car. Um, you get into the 90s, then what are we down to? We're down to Mustang,
Mustang, Camaro, probably.
Camaro. Yeah.
I
And those aren't
Dodge. I think Dodge was even, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of their sport cars at the time were made by Mitsubishi. Like the 3000
Mm,
GT was the Stealth. There wasn't really, yeah. Like I think if you're talking 90s, it would have to be the Mustang Camaro. I would think so.
and then we get into, if we go 2000s, the rebirth of the Charger.
Yes, which didn't make as big of a splash as they thought it would. It was big. It was a huge selling car.
Yeah.
But when the Challenger came out, that because that was the Barracuda's buddy. Like so back in the day, you all had a like a twin. So the Camaro had the Firebird. Trying to think of what else, like the Pontiac. Anyway, long story short, the Challenger, the back in the day, the Dodge Challenger and the Plymouth Barracuda were like from the same frame, like they were similar cars. So when they released, I think the first Challenger again re-released it, I think it was 2009. That did spark a big um retro comeback because then you had at that point in time, so you had Mustang, and sorry to go down a rabbit hole with this, but you had Ford re-release that beautiful like 60s looking Mustang in 2005, and I think it was either '07 or '09 when the Camaro came back, and that looked really nice, retro styling. And then Dodge released the Challenger. So now you had effectively the Mustang, the Camaro, and the Challenger all competing in the same space for a late 2000s resurgence in muscle car culture. That lasted probably for about a decade, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, yeah, I guess if it was, you'd go with the Challenger, I guess,
Probably.
just if you're going to be as close as possible.
If you're going to stay Mopar, which if you switch to the Cuda to a Ford or a Chevy, Mopar people who love the film would probably be really pissed off. They'd probably be an
Probably.
automatic non-starter for uh,
Yeah.
dads who are Phantasm fans that want to show their kids.
Yeah. And anything electric would be not very useful in the fight against the tall man.
No, no.
No. I don't think Tesla's going to get away with that one. Though, fun muscle car fact, when I was talking about possibly getting a Mustang Mach E, my mom just shouted, "That's not a real Mustang." That's not how she talks, but she was very upset that I would consider getting a Ford Mustang Mach E because it's not a real Mustang.
It's so the thing is, and we're in it to win it now, man. The thing is, there's a lot more torque in an electric motor. So off the line, off the jump, if you're talking
Hmm.
quarter mile, an electric motor would be uh that gives you an immediate get up and go. So yes, so you were talking about Tesla, like don't try and screw around with Tesla on 76 or anything like that because you probably won't win. The Mustang Mach E, I'm not sure if that was built for performance or if it was more styled to be electric as opposed to not to say that look, like electric motors they get up and go. Like they're no joke. Like when done right, you will get smoked by an electric vehicle when done right.
Yeah,
Um,
but then they piss me off because they don't maintain their speed as well either.
right.
It's like a golf cart. It's like once you let go of the accelerator, just where's the oomph? But that's a whole other can of worms. She's just upset because she had a Mustang since 2006 and just got rid of, like, just had to give it up because the part that needed to be replaced they couldn't find anywhere. It was like, this has been out of the market for 10 years and
Yeah.
we just can't replace it.
Plus the
So,
numbers are, I mean, Ford ever since they re-released now Ford Mustangs have always had their fan base, and honestly, what's cool about it and something that I think about um more as a consumer, someone that's older now and kind of understands the family thing and the mortgage thing a little better. I used to make fun of the Mustang a lot because I was a Camaro guy, but now I realize that the Mustang is an affordable luxury. It
yeah.
Like it really is like like a well-built, fun to drive car, no matter what iteration of it, whether it's the V6 or the V8, because that's the thing that was always like I could never afford a V8 Camaro, so it's just like, all right, well, if I can't afford it, then I'm not going to buy it, right? But more recently, the people that I see who have Mustangs and the way they appreciate them, the way they just get to cruise about it, like it's not a Ferrari, it's not a Maserati. You don't have to keep this thing up or like not drive it like it's supposed to be driven. Like a Mustang is an affordable luxury. Ford's made it for a very long time. They're very nice looking cars. It's I've come to appreciate the Mustang a lot in the last few years, like a whole lot. It's crazy. I could even see my
Yeah.
in one um in the future, which I if you would have talked to me 10 years ago, that would be blasphemy. Now, I'm in. But to bring it back home, it cannot replace like Dodge did release the Challenger and they did offer it in black and if you're making a new Phantasm movie, let's just say it's now set in the 2000s, you're not going to get away with replacing a Challenger for a Mustang or a Cuda for a Mustang. It's just not going to happen.
That's the challenge. And that's just a sign of you maturing. I mean, there's fewer cooler drives I've ever done in my life than having the top down on the Mustang and going from Miami to Key West down Route 1, hopping from key to key. So
And honestly,
pretty cool.
you telling me that story made me think of it too. Like that's what I'm saying with the Mustang. It's pure enjoyment. Like I've just come to appreciate the way that other people appreciate it. You know, like what
Mhm.
that story honestly was one of the things. Just like, huh, never thought of that. Would be really really cool to do. So pretty neat.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not a gearhead. I don't know much about cars, but I've got some good memories, and that's another fun idea right there, the cars of horror, because we have not even touched Carrie, and Carrie's one of your all-time favorites.
Yes. Which one?
Oh, not Carrie, Christine.
Oh yeah, yeah. Another Plymouth. Another
Yeah.
badass Plymouth. So we're talking. Oh man, yeah, you're right. We got to do Cars of Horror because that is also uh, the
We
Cuda
struck a,
in
yeah.
Phantasm is a Plymouth, and Christine is a 1957 Plymouth Fury or 58. Oh God, I'm gonna get in trouble if I mess this up. Um, or Plymouth, yeah, Plymouth Fury, and it's custom painted red. Like I don't believe they offered that color red. Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it.
Yeah.
But I want to bring it back home. But that's another Plymouth, which is pretty cool. So Christine's a Plymouth. I think it's a 1958. I'm gonna get in a lot of trouble. Um,
It's okay. You're on the spot.
we're on the spot. So
Yeah.
Christine's a Plymouth. The Cuda in um Phantasm, obviously a Plymouth. So while I love the car, I think you love the car. I want to focus very specifically something we've never covered before. I want to focus on the license plate. Did you ever know that
Mm.
it's an Oregon plate?
It's not set. The movie's set in Oregon, right?
Well, I didn't. So when looking up things about this car for this episode, I saw an Oregon plate 9GR635.
Hmm.
So Phantasm creates this fictional town of Morningside in Oregon. Now, the movie was actually filmed at various locations in Southern California and some notable ones in Northern California. And you did cover this on episode 2, but I just want to go back to the mausoleum, like the exterior, that 3-column building.
Mhm.
That's the iconic Dunsmuir Hellman Historic Estate in Oakland. Morningside Cemetery Gates, that's the entrance to the Cobb Estate. That's Altadena, California. Main Street with the ice cream parlor. And I looked up this town. Now I want to go there. Julian, California, historic mining town, but they're the apple capital of California. How cool is that?
Oh, like the actual like fruit apples.
Yeah. And with
I
how
was gonna say,
is like I don't know my geography. Like I'll correct. I don't know my California geography that well. I'm seeing palm trees in like San Francisco, even though I thought geographically San Francisco was almost even with Philly. So like how could that be? Right? How do they have that?
I don't think there are palm trees in San Francisco.
What's that like palmetto palm looking tree then? that they have?
Well, there are palm trees in Los Angeles, but they weren't natural there. They were put there for the 1920 Olympics. So when they were preparing for the Olympics, they put palm trees in LA when LA was hosting the Olympics. So they're not natural to California. They were put in there for the aesthetics.
Okay. So,
Fun fact.
yeah, that's yeah, I didn't know that. I knew they
Yeah.
weren't. I knew palm trees weren't native to LA, but they're still there. I mean, it's the right climate. So, like this town Julian, that's where like Reggie's ice cream stand is, like, and where like Mike is walking through. This is, I think, like 150 miles inland
Mhm.
from San Diego, and San Diego's very far south. So, long story short, how are they growing apples in that climate then? How are you the
It's like the
yeah,
it's like right down there's like the best climate. I mean, Southern California is known for having like the best climate around. I mean, that's why so many people move there.
but Washington
It's mellow all year round, like 70, 80 degrees.
is way up there. That's known for apples. Like in PA, we can't really grow great apples. How the hell are they growing great apples in Southern California where it's still hot? Like it's beautiful, but it's still hot.
And they grow everything in Southern California. It's a lot of farmland out. They grow a lot of food,
All right. Well,
a lot. I mean, even most of the oranges, like Florida barely produces many oranges. Almost all of them come from California.
right. Now I knew that oranges, I knew. That I knew. Um, but anyway,
Yeah,
this
okay.
I feel like you and I should visit this place. Like that's how
Oh, definitely.
I found that main strip. I'm like all about it right now. But
Yeah.
but yes, so I'd never realized though before, or at least I had forgotten if I did, Oregon plate 9GR 635 on the CUDA. Everything was filmed in California, but it is Oregon technically where this Morningside is. So the tall man, like he rips through all these small towns. He makes these Jawa slaves. Did we ever know that they dwarves? Like he's pretty much enslaving humanity by having
Turning them to, yeah.
yeah. So like all the towns recently deceased. That's why he's the mortician. He's the head guy. Some deaths we've seen caused by the tall man through his minions, I guess we'll call them, or through the silver spear. One of the best things in cinema, I think. And because California always gets the love, I'm running with the notion that Coscarelli choosing Oregon was intentional. So it got me thinking of some of the real ghost towns in Oregon that maybe Joe, the tall man, has
Mm-hmm.
ravaged before arriving in Morningside. So I looked this up. I have a book called Ghost Towns, and I looked it up and I found two in Oregon. So I can't read from the book verbatim without the expressed written consent of Publications International Limited. But can I summarize these two for you, Joe? And you let me know if you think the tall man was there.
Yeah, please do.
All right, Golden, Oregon, located in Josephine County near Wolf Creek, an abandoned mining town established in the 1840s during the gold rush along Coyote Creek. Formerly founded around 1890 by Reverend William Rubel, a leader of the Campbellite Church, and now peaked with over 150 residents, two churches, a general store, and a post office. And that was from 1896 to 1920. Had a schoolhouse, but notably no saloons. Remember Dune's Cantina. And
Mm-hmm.
important to note, there were no saloons there in Golden, Oregon. So that reflected that Rubel family's emphasis on faith. The town thrived in the 1870s, recovering about $1.5 million in gold, but declined after the gold was depleted by the early 20th century, with the post office closing in 1920 and the town fully abandoned by the mid 20th century. Now, think the tall man could have arrived there during this time. Chinese miners briefly worked the claims in the 1860s after the European settlers left for the Idaho gold rush, but were driven out upon the settlers' return. Today, Golden, well-preserved ghost town managed by Oregon State Parks as the Golden State Heritage Site, listed on the National Register of Historic Places since 2002. Visitors can explore four remaining structures: the church, rebuilt in the 50s, a residence, a shed, and a building that housed the store and post office. So the site, featured in shows like Bonanza and Ghost Adventures, offers a glimpse into Oregon's gold mining history with interpretive signs and a serene woodland setting accessible off of I-5. So, Joe, I ask you, do you think it's possible that the tall man could have ravaged Golden, Oregon in that time before he arrived at Morningside?
I mean, it's empty. So I'd say there's no reason that he couldn't.
All right. And if I'm
He
not,
was he was the postmaster.
ooh, okay, the postmaster. And also, Joe, if I'm not mistaken, is Oregon where Bigfoot is? Isn't that supposed to be the? I can't remember.
Bigfoot's all over the Pacific Northwest.
Okay. Some
So
you got a tall man and you got a Bigfoot. Like, who's gonna win? You know?
mm, I don't know, but
All right. One more town that I found in the book. The ghost towns again. I can't read it. So I'll just summarize it. Hardman, located in southern Morrow County, Oregon, along Highway 207, semi-abandoned ghost town, thrived as a freighting and farming center in the 1870s, founded around 1878 by David N. Hardman, who arrived via ox train, served as the first postmaster. The town emerged from the merger of nearby settlements Dairyville, nicknamed Raw Dog, and Adam, nicknamed Yaller Dog. At its peak in the 1880s, Hardman boasted a population of about 200, with 3 general stores, 2 hotels, a saloon, a barbershop, a newspaper, schools, a church, and a telephone office. The town's decline began in 1888 when the railroad bypassed it for Heppner, 20 miles northeast, shifting economic activity. By 1968, the post office closed, population dwindled. Today, Hardman has about 20 to 35 full-time residents and a few part-time property owners. Preserved historic buildings like the Hardman IOOF Lodge Hall, that's listed on the National Register of Historic Places from 2012, and the Town Hall, home to the Hardman Historical Society. Society hosts community events like potluck dinners, hunter breakfasts, and it's surrounded by rolling grasslands. Hardman offers a glimpse into Oregon's pioneer past with restored clapboard structures amidst decayed buildings and abandoned vehicles, making it a draw for ghost town enthusiasts. So, do you think the tall man could have ravaged Hardman, or do you think that was just economics?
nah, tall man.
Tall man. All right. So, let it be
Tall
known.
man.
Phantasm remastered, episode 118. The tall man is responsible for the ghost town of Golden, Oregon, and the ghost town of Hardman, Oregon. So, Joe, I am going to stop dropping fun facts on you, and I'll allow you to close this show properly. But it's been fun. I love the trails about the cars and horror directors and everything. I'm having a blast with this.
Yeah, no, it's always fun to like theorize about our buddy the tall man, about Phantasm itself. Um, Definitely something if you are a collector to have the remaster in your collection, definitely recommend that one. Again, we like the slow burn. I was trying to look at like what do younger people think about Phantasm, so I was like cruising around like different subreddits and like other horror groups through like the Facebooks, just seeing what I could find.
Yeah.
Real mix. Some I don't know. It's like the same mix. Like I don't know. I At some point I was one of those like younger people where everything newer was better than older.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason I don't think that was the case with horror. I don't think it ever was, which is weird. I think it is just like the enjoyment of the slow burn, the atmosphere, and that's the one thing that I see like a lot of like younger guys and gals say, and they're like, it's kind of boring and all over the place. And it's like, you know, you got to learn to sit down and lock it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas the old heads love it. We love it. But yeah, so we're going to wrap up episode number 118 here. And then anything else to, well, no, you already handed it over to me. So you could pick up the whole Phantasm series on DVD or Remastered on Blu ray for $20 and just call it a day. So, hey, load up We know that there is a novelization of Phantasm that was published on a limited run. It went out in primary quickly. It also has like a Japanese translation if you want to get your hands on that. So, and if you have one yourself, they've been going from collectors anywhere between $500 to $1,000 if they're in good condition and if they're signed. So, with that being said, this has been episode number 118 of the Red River Horror Podcast. And remember to keep traveling those channels of fear.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Red River Horror Podcast. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, and share. For great written horror content, go to redriverhorror.com. On Spotify or Apple Music, leave us a comment. Or if you have a thought about the show, just email redriverhorror@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and as always, thank you for following those channels of fear.
All right. We're hot as love, you know.